I'm Sholan Shalom Vasquez. I teach sociology here at the college. We're in for a treat today. We're really so grateful and so honored to have Dr. Salti with us today. My colleague Heidi Saleh and I heard him during our fellowship that we did at Stanford University, and since then this has been a dream to bring him to campus and talk to us here at SRJC. So I'm one of the coordinators of Women's History Month, and I'm also one of the co-founders of Middle Eastern and North African Association here at the college. We're like a new fledgling group, and we're putting on a lot of events. So this event comes to you in collaboration with both Women's History Month and Middle Eastern and North African Association. I think one of our goals and one of our dreams today was to talk about Middle Eastern joy. As you know, we hear, there's so much tragedy going on in the region at the moment, and especially when we see representations of women. Come on in, please have a seat. The representations of women tend to be also around repression and violence and just negative maybe representation. So today we're in for a treat because we get to hear again about Middle Eastern women, Arab women, in the context of the wonderful music that they put together and perform. So Dr. Ramzi Salti, as I said, comes to us from Stanford University. He's a seasoned Stanford lecturer with a PhD in comparative literature and a strong background in Arabic language, literature, music, and culture. He's also the host of Arabology, a radio program podcast that highlights music and other cultural productions from the Arab world. You should definitely check out his podcast. It's awesome. So without further ado, I present to you Dr. Salti.
I'm so happy to be with you today. She's calling me Dr. Salti. Yes, I am Professor Salti by day, but I'm DJ Ramzi by night. And so that's the only way I've been able to survive 27 years at Stanford University. I teach these courses for the Arabic program there, and I love them. But really, it's been the night, that you take off the tie or the jacket and you go into a different vibe and a different zone at KZSU Stanford 90.1 FM, commercial-free, uncensored radio. It still exists. And so I go in and I spin music from the Arab world, and I've been doing it for 13 years. The show started with the advent of the Arab Spring back in 2011. And I think it's one of the few shows that attempts to bring the music in Arabic, in the original language, to American listeners. Because everybody always asks me, what are they talking about? Why is this lady crying on stage as she sings? There aren't too many translations that work. You've got to convey the feeling of the song, often, as I'm going to do today. And that's how Arabology was born in 2011. It is still around, and with everything going on in the region right now, it's gaining another new momentum. And I think we're going to end today with a very special tribute to Palestinian women in song. Hopefully, this will be a very healing talk for everybody. And you might like some of these samples, you might not, but there's something for everyone. And I can't wait to get through the talk and then look at you and say, okay, which one rocked your world? Which one didn't? Why? We'll have a discussion. There's obviously no right answers. Everybody has different tastes. And I'm not trying to go chronologically or geographically. I'm just going by my feeling. Today. So welcome to my talk, and thank you so much to Professor Heidi Saleh and Sholan Shalom Vasquez, my two new daughters or sisters who brought me here. They have been fantastic. And just another example of how when women in general and Middle Eastern women in particular get together, they get things done. And I think that if we had more women in power in the Middle East, in the Arab world, we would be in a much better zone, as you will see today. And so the talk today will include a lot of what we call indie or alternative Arab women singers. You can see their pictures there. I'm proud that I met most of them. I could be like the grandpa or I could be like the DJ, but I have always been so proud to feature their music. And then they reach out to Uncle Ramsey or DJ Ramsey, and so you will be seeing some of these women through the video clips today, and we're only playing little segments. But the first one, I unfortunately didn't get to meet because she passed away in 1975. So I was a child then, but her name is Kulthum. That's not her real name, that's her nickname, but it's so popular that nobody knows her real name. It is Fatima something. And Kulthum, known as Kulthum, is a powerhouse. This woman was iconic, still is iconic, but in 1950s Egypt, before even Egypt became a republic, she was friends with the king, King Farouk. Then, the Nasser regime took over and Egypt became a republic, she became Nasser's best friend. In other words, this woman was not just a singer, she was a political voice. And she used it to talk about women too. She came from the countryside, there's no nepotism here. She was born very poor and people would hear this voice she had. She was trained Quranically, so she could also recite the Quran. And she was from a village in Upper Egypt. Her father heard her. They started bringing her to Cairo. She became more and more famous and rose to fame and eventually passed away in 75. The other interesting thing about her is she never married and she never had children and yet was always invited to be part of the table. And I love that about Kulthum, that she was beyond these, and she addressed issues of gender. She, in 1950s, what's wrong with a woman not getting married? That was shocking in Egypt. What do you mean? Isn't that a function of everybody is to get married? And she stuck to her guns. And now later, we're finding all these interviews that can be considered so subversive. 1950s Egyptian woman in that era, in that circumstance, speaking about her freedom. And I'm going to play a song about freedom today that she actually sang about, that can be applied, I think, to everybody who is oppressed today. All oppressed groups can relate to this song that I'm going to play in a moment. But let me just, first of all, let me show you Kulthum in concert in one of the very few color clips. This is not colorized. It's no AI. It's actual color footage of her 1 year before she passed. You're going to hear her say two words. Ya Habibi. Do you know what that means? My love, my sweetie, my buddy, my friend. Habibi is everybody. It's how you say it. Well, she says it from the heart, from the soul of her soul, but she says, Ya Habibi. And you know how long her songs were? Average 40 minutes per track. Can you imagine a song going for 40 minutes? How can it be 40 minutes? The lyrics are long because of the repetition. So when she says, Ya Habibi once, you're supposed to today feel like, okay. Then she says it again, you're like, oh, I'm starting to get it. By the third time, you're like hyperventilating. By the fourth time, you're rushing the stage. This is Kulthum. Like the repetition is supposed to bring you to a state of euphoria, which we call in Arabic tarab. And if you can reach ecstasy through song, you're going to feel this connection with the divine. So here, I'm just going to play a little clip. And you're also going to see in the clip her funeral when she died in 1975 in Egypt. The streets, the schools, everything shut down, and everybody was in the street to say goodbye to this great lady.
يا حبيبي يا حبيبي الليل والسماء ونجومه قمره سهره وانت وانا يا حبيبي انا يا حياتي انا.
So Kulthum has a few documentaries in English if you don't speak Arabic, or some have been translated. One of the best ones is narrated by Omar Sharif, if you know who he is, Omar Sharif. He narrates the Kulthum biography that is available, I think, on Amazon now and things like that. But it's like to have an Egyptian icon narrate the story of another Egyptian icon. But I see a lot of young people here. What do young people think about Kulthum today? Because when I was your age, kids, my dad would play Kulthum. You heard her. It's not exactly techno music. So I would be like, Dad, please take this off. She's just going on and on and on and on and on. God forgive me for saying this, wherever you are, Dad, I'm sorry, because now at my age and for the past maybe 10 years, she has been my salvation. I feel what he was saying. So, here's what young people have to say about her today.
The lady. We call her the lady.
Man, she's massive, she's a pyramid, you know what I mean?
Her name is Kulthum, and her voice still drips out of streets, cafes and taxis from Cairo to Casablanca to Kuwait to this day.
She's a holy person for us. She is.
It's like a nostalgia voice that connects you always to the past, to your family, to your friends, to your home. That's what she represents.
For us, she means the East. We call her Planet of the East, actually, كوكب الشرق.
It's been 45 years since her death, and we asked young Arabs why they still listen to a singer who died before they were born.
So as you can see, even though she's been gone for a very long time, her songs still live on, and a lot of them have been remixed. Wait till you hear, a hip-hop remix with Kulthum's voice. It kind of works. I'm going to show you that quickly in a moment. But here is a typical moment captured on film, where one word that Kulthum says manages to bring the audience to ecstasy, to talab. The word is nazra. I think you might know it, Shalin, and nazara, to see. So the word nazra means a glance. It's just one word, nazra. Spell it Nazra. She just plays with the word nazra, where she stays on the N, like, I can't do it, but it would be insulting for her, but and then when she says nazra, it's as if she sang an opera. People go crazy and she laughs. And it shows how there was this interplay. You connect with the audience where, I don't think too many artists in the history of music could do that. I'm going to show you what I mean.
أنا اهتميت جدا إن أنا أشوف كلثوم قبل ما بتبدأ على المسرح. قلت لها بيبقى شعورك إيه لما خشبة المسرح بتدق الدقات التقليدية؟ قالت لي قلبي بيدق معاها. قلت لها إزاي؟ ده انت ام كلثوم. قالت لي عشان انا ام كلثوم.
So what did you think of that moment? All it is one word, and you heard the audience interaction. So she was, this was before TV, but she was on radio, and from Radio Egypt, everybody on Thursday nights knew it was a Muslim night, and they would, gather and listen to her live concerts, all of which have been on vinyl, thank God, and are now on iTunes and everywhere else, on Spotify. But here are her three biggest hits. Now, I'm not going to, stay on them too much because there's a lot of women coming your way. But one of her most famous songs is called Al-Atlal. The second most famous song is called Inta Umri, which means You Are My Life. And then we'll do a little remix for you to move with Kulthum's groovy beats today. In terms of Al-Atlal, she's going to speak in Arabic. Naila, I don't know if you want to translate. Maybe I'll just read because, okay, would you translate into English, Naila? It's that one. All right, so I would try to, pretend that I am I am a depressed person, but pretend that I am Kulthum, chained in a relationship that's toxic, deciding to break free. Now that's pretty, dramatic. But I think if you contextualize it within what was going on in Egypt, then Give Me My Freedom becomes the citizen rising against the monarchy, and it becomes the oppressed rising against the rulers. So it's veiled in she's in a relationship where she's being controlled and she's going to break free, which right there is big enough. But when you add all those dimensions, so أعطني حريتي أطلق يدي. يلا نيلة.
Give me my freedom, unleash of my hands.
إنني أعطيت ما استبقيت شيئا.
I have given everything and left nothing for myself. For too long.
No, hold on. I need to do the ouch that Kulthum does. I'm not doing it. من قيدك أدمى معصمي.
For too long, your chains have made my wrists bleed.
So when she goes, I can do it justice. I hope you feel like the pain, but also the joy of breaking free. Okay, so this is, if you leave today with one song, you learned it's Al-Atlal. And you can use it as a reference, like, oh my gosh, it's like Kulthum when she's cried out in pain in Al-Atlal. Here it is.
أعطني حريتي أطلق يدي إنني أعطيت ما استبقيت شيئا أعطني حريتي أطلق يدي إنني أعطيت ما استبقيت شيئا من قيدك أدمى معصمي من قيدك أدمى معصمي لمن أبقيه وما أبقى علي احتفاظي بعقود لم تصنها وإلى ما الأسر والدنيا لدانا.
Did you hear that? Ouch! من قيدك أدمى معصمي. And the second song I'm going to play is called Inta Umri, You Are My Life, and that has been remixed and re-recorded by hundreds of singers. So I can't cheat you out of a little part from Inta Umri, where she says, if you can read in the middle, everything I saw before my eyes first saw you was just wasted time. How can they count it against me? How can they say mine? So I don't know if any of you have felt that way, but this is supposed to be the ultimate romantic gesture, is to find someone and say, you know what? Out of all the years before I knew you, they don't count. Now I started living. But there's also a lamentation that why didn't you come sooner? So anyway, here is in the harmony.
اللي شفته اللي شفته قبل ما تشوفك عينيا عمري ضايع يحسبوه ازاي عليا اللي شفته قبل ما تشوفك عينيا عمري ضايع يحسبوه ازاي عليا اللي شفته قبل ما تشوفك عينيا عمري ضايع يحسبوه ازاي عليا انت عمري انت عمري اللي ابتدى بنورك صباح اللي ابتدى بنورك صباح انت عمري.
So you learn how to say, you are my life in Arabic. Do you want to try it, Professor Shabbat?
Not sing it.
No, but feel it. Inta umri. It's beyond you're my love. It's like you are the years of my life. Inta umri. Arabic has that tendency. All right, you want to jam a little bit to a remix of Inta umri? She's going to say the same thing about when my eyes first saw you. Nothing counted before, but with a little bit of a modern twist. Here we go. Ready to say Inta umri? Say Inta umri 3 times. Okay, so that well, I would. Nobody like got up and like jammed. You know, you're an amazing person. I felt you. I got the ecstasy. Yep. I mean, obviously, please research Kulthum and find more things about her, because I'm going to go from the Queen of Egypt, the fourth pyramid, they called her Theo. Right? Like people think there's only 3 pyramids in Egypt, and Kulthum is the 4th. But like I'm from Lebanon. I was born and raised in Lebanon. And so we've always had a friendly rivalry with Egypt, and like, you know, okay, so Kulthum is Egyptian and she's the greatest. Well, we've got our answer to Kulthum in the form of Fairuz. Kulthum in the form of Fairuz, who, there is no Lebanese person. You say Fairuz in front of a Lebanese person, they faint. Like, always have spelling faults available. She represents everything that was beautiful about Lebanon, and still is. She represents hope. She is, an icon from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. She's still around. She's still alive. She's still in Lebanon. She never left, although she could have easily, with her money, left the country with all the wars and situations we've been in. She's still there in Lebanon today. She's speaking out still for the oppressed. She sings beyond religions. Now, she herself is Christian, but it doesn't matter, because she has sung for Al-Aqsa, she's sung for, she does church hymns. She's got a Christmas carols album, but she also has a Ramadan album. So she is amazing. But the main thing about Fairuz is not just, her iconic status. Musically, Kulthum and her generation had 40-minute songs. You want to listen to one song? Only 40 minutes. Fairuz came onto the scene and decided we're going to release a song in 3 minutes. And the Arab world went crazy. What is it? It's unheard of. What do you mean 3 minutes? We won't even have time to just, it's not even an appetizer, right? And so, but now, all of Arabic music is, just like Western music, it has to be 35 minutes long. And that's all because of Fairuz. She was the first to do that. But let me begin by the way she loves Lebanon. بحبك يا لبنان means I love you, Lebanon. When Fairuz, who is the representative that sings for Lebanon and says, I love you, Lebanon, the audience goes wild. You're not going to be able to see the audience, but you're going to be able to see her face. When she says, I love you, Lebanon, بحبك يا لبنان, she gets such a standing ovation that she literally has to stop, wait, and start again. And this is not at the beginning of a concert or something. And so, just 3 words, بحبك يا لبنان, have created frenzy. And you can see her face, like when she says it, she almost expects to be, to take a little break. Here it is.
بحبك يا لبنان يا وطني بحبك يا لبنان يا وطني بحبك بشمالك بجنوبك بسهلك بحبك يا لبنان يا وطني بحبك بشمالك بجنوبك بسهلك بحبك تسأل شو بني وشو اللي ما بني تسأل شو بني وشو اللي ما بني بحبك يا لبنان يا وطني.
May she live on forever. People sometimes ask me, kids, they go, how old is Fairuz? And I have this answer, you go very serious. How old are the stars? How old is the moon? The sun? Love? And then you walk away. That's my answer. Don't go on Wikipedia and try to find her age. She's ageless. Here is a little tribute to Fairuz from NPR.
بأيام البرد بأيام الشتاء والرصيف بحيرة والشارع غريب.
You don't have to be Lebanese to know this voice, but if you are, chances are this is a voice you've heard ever since childhood. Even if you were born and raised on the other side of the world, this voice probably sang to you from LPs and tape decks in kitchens and living rooms, without ever needing to ask. When you hear the words, I loved you in the summer, I loved you in the winter, you just know. This is Fairuz. Her real name is Nihad Haddad, and she was born in 1935 in a Lebanon that was still finding its place in the Arab world. The name Fairuz means turquoise in Arabic. The man who discovered her said her voice was like a rare gem, that it worked with both Arabic and Western music. Listen here to the way she sings the word Habibi, which means my darling.
So the whole show is available on NPR. Here's Fayrouz in a very, very rare interview because she does not give interviews, she's very reclusive, talking about how she and her husband, who wrote all her music, Asi Rahbani, managed to change the landscape of Arabic music, bringing them from 60-minute songs to 3-minute classics.
كنا عم نخلق الموجة الفنية الجديدة اللي ما كانت موجودة ضد الفن اللي كان موجود. ما كنا محبوبين يعني أبدا، بس هيدي ما طولت ونحن كنا مصرين كتير على انه نتابع الطريق. ما كتير اهتمينا باللي كان عم ينقال عنا رغم انه كان قاسي كتير، ومشينا ومرقت المرحلة وكملنا الطريق.
So basically, the Rahbani school of music still lives on today. So some of you were looking at me kind of like, he's exaggerating, and nobody can be that great. He must be a Fayrouz fanatic, you know. I'm nothing compared to some of the Lebanese who have dedicated their lives to like going to Fayrouz concerts and taking pictures. This Armenian photographer in Lebanon, he didn't eat for days. He would go to photograph Fayrouz to get the, film for the camera. And he was at Baalbek, which is an old Roman site in Lebanon, and outside amphitheater, and it was gonna rain, and it's nighttime. And so what do you think, sir, happened when Fayrouz came out and sang to the moon? Would you be able to guess? There you go. Suddenly, it stopped raining, the clouds dispersed, and Baalbek became bathed in moonlight. Okay, I know you're thinking coincidence. Why does it happen every time Fayrouz sings? Listen to this guy, he's me if I were an Armenian photographer.
غير من هيك بدي خبرك خبرية هي يلي صار بوجودي. أنا كان يتصور مهرجانات فيروز ببعلبك. بهاي مهرجان شنهار غيوم مليان بالسماء وأطمت الدنيا مش معقول هيك. بين البروجيكتورات اسبوتات فيروز بينت من الساعة من المسرح من فوق، اجى على راس التلة بلش يغني يا مر يا مر ليش ما بتطلع يا مر. شي ما بتصدق، انخزت كل الغيوم يلي فيها بالسماء وقمر ظهرت برا، لمعت كل البعلبك كأنه صار شمس بنهار. وهنيك أنا قلت فيروز إلى صوت، إلى إيمان، إلى دين، حساسية. هي وحيد بحكي مع السماء مع الله. الله سمع صوتها وبعدت غيوم ولمعت بعلبك تيغني فيروز وينك يا قمر ليش ما بتطلع يا قمر.
So you see, I am not the only Lebanese fanatic, but honestly, this shows you what an icon she is. If you're interested in learning more about Fayrouz, there's a DVD that's available, and there is the short segment we just saw with the guy speaking. That was from that documentary there called "We Loved Each Other So Much." It's available, I think, on Prime and other places, and it's people talking about Fayrouz for 2 hours, then playing a Fayrouz song. But it shows you how, no matter where you are in the Arab world, you love her. Arabs fight each other all the time. It breaks my heart. But when it comes to Fayrouz, they'll agree. It doesn't matter where you are in the Arab world, just say Fayrouz and suddenly the doors open. So she managed to do that. Okay, these are more hits by Fayrouz that I'm going to skip today because I want to go to the next person, but please keep, I'm going to be sharing a link to the PowerPoint, and also there's a YouTube playlist if you want to explore these on their own. 3 huge hits by Fayrouz. And when Macron decided to visit Lebanon during the pandemic, did he go to the president's home? No. Did he go from the airport to some fancy affair? No. From the airport, he goes to pay tribute to Fayrouz in her modest house in Beirut. So people were like, okay, you can't get more iconic than that. I don't think he even saw the president. I think he just saw Fayrouz and went back to France. So it's the Macron-Fayrouz connection. Who's the runner-up to Fayrouz? Well, who's the new Fayrouz? A younger Fayrouz. It's pretty, I know that gentleman there gave me that look like, how dare you say Fayrouz could ever have a runner-up? I agree with you, sir. It is unthinkable. But you know, these kids, somebody's got to take over. And if we need to pick somebody, let's pick Tania Kassis, who is Lebanese. She's also very much into peace music that brings Christianity and Islam together, which is nice. And she has an operatic voice. She has a lot of tributes to Beirut, like this one, but this, I hope, is going to move you. Tania Kassis did something unheard of. She took the Muslim call to prayer, what's called the Azan, or the Shahada, you know, the Allahu Akbar that you hear all the time. And then she brought in the Ave Maria and mixed them together on stage. And you can imagine in a sectarian world, especially Lebanon, people didn't know how to take it. They're like, wait, how dare you? But then, wow, it worked so beautifully that maybe we can apply it to our everyday life. You know, Lebanon has 14 official religions, all of which have to coexist. No wonder they get civil. But when they coexist, it's a beautiful place. Do you want to hear the Muslim call to prayer with the Ave Maria together? And you don't have to like it, but just appreciate what a gutsy move this was, because she could have gotten into a lot of trouble.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا
So what did you think? Did anyone feel it was disrespectful or blasphemous? And you're free to think so, of course. Did you? There is a certain element that says you shouldn't mess with the call to prayer, you know, what's next, you're gonna make a hip-hop version or something. But the message for Lebanon, despite the fact that I see both sides of the argument, is the fact that we desperately need Islamic Christianity, because that's Lebanon, right? Like 90% is that. We need the Shia, the Muslims, the Maronites, the Orthodox Christians, you know. So I prefer to look at the message like that. And hopefully this can serve for in real life for discussions and conversations. Moving on to Yasmin Hamdan, the queen of underground Arabic music. She is a phenomenon. She released her first album, which was called Arabology. Yes, like my radio show. Now you know where I stole my title from. And it was a moment to actually meet Yasmin Hamdan at Stanford and tell her thank you for giving me the title. There's a picture of me with her there. That's one of the happiest moments of my life. She came to Stanford, she sat in the radio with me, she sang Arabology to the Arabology host, and she didn't sue me for stealing it. So she's pretty amazing. You're gonna love her vibe. Here she is singing about Lebanon. It's called Balad. Balad means country. And as we know, Lebanon is a very chaotic country. And what's the answer? What do you, young man, what do you think the answer is to solving all of Lebanon's problems? It's that, but it's also very easy. Put a woman in charge. Do you want to see what happens when you put a woman in charge of Lebanon? So in this video, Yasmin Hamdan is being put as in charge and takes over the airwaves. Don't you love how she put real footage of the Lebanese parliament and what do we know is it's all these men in suits discussing forever, and then she takes over with her Lebanese flag and the words "I am the citizen" deposed. It's quite powerful. Okay, so that was Yasmin Hamdan. I'm going to move on to Tania Saleh, another person I got to meet with her in Lebanon. I love her music, but she had one song that I think is worth your time. It is called Omar and Ali. Omar and Ali. Well, what's the significance of the name Omar? And what's the significance of the name Ali? Does anyone know? So in Islam, Omar is a typical name for a Sunni Muslim. And Ali is a typical name for a Shia or Shiite Muslim. In Lebanon, it's the fight. The Civil War wasn't just Christians and Muslims or Syrians or Palestinians. It was within the factions. You had Shiites against it, and that is really heartbreaking. And like, I'm a Lebanese Christian. It breaks my heart when I see Maronites in Lebanon fighting with the Orthodox Christian instead of saying we're same Bible. Same thing for Muslims in terms of Shiite and Sunni. They both read the same Quran. They have Ramadan. But then there's like this little difference, and suddenly they're fighting each other. So Tanya Saleh says, "Yo, Omar, get up and kiss Ali. Hey, Ali, get up, kiss Omar. Kiss him where? Kiss him between the eyes. This is considered the most precious spot." So pretty gutsy of her to talk about Shia-Sunni relations.
يا عمر كلم عليه وموقف سلم عليه جاي من آخر دنيا وقفله مرة شو عليه يا علي كلم عمر واقف ومادد ايديه قرب فشخة يا علي قرب وصوب بين عينيه يا عمر يا علي قوم يا عمر كلم عليه لا قادر عايش معه ولا فيك تكفي بليه حلوة القصة تعو مش ناقصنا بلبلة كل الكتب المنزلة كل الرسل المرسلة قالوا الحب هو الدواء وحلوا كل المسألة يا عمر يا علي قوم يا عمر كلم عليه يا عمر يا علي قوم يا عمر كلم عليه.
All right, that is Tanya Saleh from Lebanon. The song is Omar and Ali. I'm going to move to the next singer. Now we are in Jordan. Anyone been to Jordan? Oh. So you must know Hana Malhas. Hana Malhas is as close to the queen of underground music in Jordan. Today I'm bringing you not the very commercial singers who have million-dollar contracts, and you can find Nancy Azra, Mohamed Diab, amazing, fun, but not very politically conscious. Hana Malhas is. And Hana Malhas from Jordan takes very old songs, like songs from the 50s, and she's known for changing the landscape. She sings original material, she sings old material. I'm going to show you a duet of her singing in English with a Syrian singer. The Syrian singer is called Lina Shamamian. You can tell from her last name she's Armenian, but then a lot of Armenians live in Aleppo. Lina Shamamian came from Aleppo to Jordan, met Hana Malhas. They recorded their version of John Lennon's Imagine together for Syria and for the Arab world. And it's kind of an English feel. You're going to love the English part. But when Lina Shamamian chimes in, she brings an Arabic Imagine version with an amazing voice. Let me just show you what happens when two great singers.
They say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. يريد عنا بلاد يتخبى
think of that mix? I can see it on your face. You're lit up. So yeah, some things when mixed together work quite well, especially John Lennon's Imagine, because Imagine all the people. So I love that there's so many versions of it, but this one's particularly important. Do check out Ahmed Hassan's work. I want to go to Tunisia. The voice of the Arab Spring. Were you around in the Arab Spring? No. It was 2011. The Arab world got shaken by this Arab Spring. We all thought, oh wow, good things are going to come. People have woken up, and they did wake up. They did wake up for a while in Tunisia. You know, it was a very important time, and they did manage to change the constitution, and they did a lot of things. But what about the music? You know, every revolution has a soundtrack. If you were going to ask anybody, what's the soundtrack to Arab Spring? It started with Amal Mathlouthi, this amazing woman who would sing in the streets of Egypt with her guitar, Tunisia, with her guitar, and she would sing about freedom. So she had a song called My Word is Free and Unencumbered. The government at the time would, Ben Ali, you know, they would arrest her. She was even tortured, I think. But she would come out of jail and go back to the street and sing for freedom. And that is Amal Mathlouthi. So you can imagine when I met Amal Mathlouthi. I think she thought I was just an idiot. I don't know. Because, I mean, she was the voice of an entire generation. And for her to come to Stanford and sing was amazing. Let me show you how she was. Like at 19, when in the middle of the revolution, she would sing this song called My Word is Free. And you're going to see the crowds. And if you look closely at the video, the police approaches at one point with batons. And she gets scared, like, should I sit down, should I run away? And the people of the street go, Emma, keep going, we're with you. And that's sort of a moment captured. And it's her own song. Her own song. So it's a very raw moment, but did you hear the song and like her voice? Okay, like every revolution, I hope, when one day people wake up and they start, you know, whoever you demonize, whoever you imprison becomes your hero. You know, I mean, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, you know, at the time and now. This is our version. So eventually, she was invited to the Nobel ceremony. I'm not Luther, little Emma from the street, to sing the same song, only juxtapose the setting now. A 36-band orchestra streaming from Sweden live, no expense spared, wearing designer clothes by a Tunisian designer. Same song, same woman, but a few years later.
الأحرار ما يخافوش أنا أصوات ما يموتوش أنا صوت ما رزقوش أنا سر الوردة الحمراء اللي عشقوا حمرة سنين اللي دفنوا ريحتها نهار وخرجت بالحافة النار تنادي على
Same song, same words, but completely different setting. Don't check out that Emma Mathlouthi. I mean, I can't, this is just one song. She has albums, she has concerts all over the world. She was just in Turkey. They love her there. Okay, so you remember the Arab Spring then spilled into Egypt, and in Egypt we had the answer to Amal Mathlouthi, What was her name? Yes, Hala.
Dina.
Simply Dina. Hala knows her so well, she just says Dina. Which Dina? Dina Wadidi. Dina Wadidi. You're gonna love Dina Wadidi. She is just such a defiant singer in Egypt. She came to fame with the Midan, you know, the square, the Tahrir Square protests, and she sang with them. But then eventually she started getting into alternative mixing with bossa nova from Brazil and things like that. Let me see what I can, well, maybe I'll show you that. Let me show you her collaboration with a Brazilian singer. Does anybody know this guy? Tell me something about him, because I'm the Arabic part. And what is his name? Well, do you speak Portuguese? Wow, thank you for coming today. Because I mean, he's iconic, right? I mean, he's iconic. And for him to take Dina Wadidi, little Dina Wadidi from Egypt, and say, come under my wing, I'm gonna mentor you, and then release a duet with her, that becomes like Arabic bossa nova. Like, what? Arabic or bossa nova? And she was so grateful to him for that. But then he ended up saying, I learned from her more than I ended up teaching her, and she's very, very modest. So here is a part of the concert they did.
Now I'll call on stage our new colleague, Dina.
To share the stage with Jill, it was the biggest thing happened in my life. To sing with him Arab song with bossa nova style was really a deep moment. My heart was tick 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 tick.
Egyptian music is very different from the Brazilian. It's so full of small details and specific dynamics where I can get ideas from. I learn also from that, you know. It's a project that relieves.
Who I did meet too. Did you see my face in that picture? Over here. I'm just like such a, fan. Okay, moving on to Sudan, and who is the most powerful women's voice coming out of Sudan today? Her name is Al-Sada. It's like a made-up name. But if you like Nubian music, she still sings in Arabic here, but there's like a lot of African rhythms. Do you want to see a little part to see the African Arab connection? Here she is singing this song called Farasha, which means butterfly.
يا فراشة مروية بندى يلا أرقص وفرفشي لي سيبي همومك في وادي بعيد بين الورود بدعب النسيم ميلي علي دايرة ضوء العسل شوية يلا أرقص وفرفشي لي انت الحلم وطيف البجور المنام انت السعادة اللي بتنور عيني
So Al-Sada and the Nubatones, if you like this, you will love all her songs. If you didn't love this, you're not going to like any of her albums. I love it. I love the way, North Sudan and South Sudan who are in a war situation, get united in Al-Sada's music. Moving on to Algeria. Do you want to mellow out for a minute? I think you're going to enjoy this. Yes. Saad Massi. Oh my gosh. I just saw one of my favorite people with a surprise. You know that I was about to play Saad Massi, and you were the one who You would tell me about Saad Massi, right? I mean, this was not rehearsed. Writing out, it wasn't rehearsed. Well, basically, Saad Massi is from Algeria, and she just needs a guitar. She does not need a fancy band. And she just broke onto the scene, and then now they love her in France, so she moved there, but Algeria is still in her heart. She only sings in Arabic. The song is called Rawi, which means narrator, and the moral of the story is this. In your heart, in your heart, in your heart, there is a story that needs to be told. And that's what the song's about. Look in your heart and tell your story. It's called Rawi. Very mellow guitar. Hope you let her take you away. Don't resist her. It's beautiful.
احكي يا راوي احكي حكاية أدبك تكون رواية احكي لي على ناس زمان احكي لي عيال في ليلة وليلة ولا لونجة بنت الغولة ولا ولد السلطان حاجيتك ما جيتك ودينا بعيد مدى الدنيا حاجيتك ما جيتك كل واحد منا في قلبه حكاية كل واحد منا في قلبه حكاية.
So if you liked her, she's great. If you want to mellow out after a bad video, she's amazing. Saad Massi, don't forget the name. I'll check with you in 6 months, you'll be a transformed person. And say thanks to Saad Massi. Okay, I'm gonna go to Morocco just because they need to be represented today. Even though I'm not gonna play the videos, they are amazing. 2 women, so please try to remember at least one of them. One of them is called like Kulthum, but just And she does the Sahara, kind of Moroccan singing. But then you've got a new one named Manal, and she's kind of like poppy, but she's interesting because she uses Moroccan imagery. I want to reach this point in my presentation, and that's what I promised you in the beginning, that I'm going to end with the voice of Palestinian women. Almost every woman we heard today was singing about a struggle, political, social, and also in terms of gender. But Palestinian women have been surprisingly vocal for many, many years, talking not just about politics, but speaking out against patriarchy, speaking out, and they are powerful. And maybe because so many of them live under occupation, the stories they tell through their songs gain a new perspective. In the video, it's a short clip I'm going to play. It's a great video because it combines so many women, Palestinian women, who, if I had the time, each of these women would deserve her own presentation, definitely her own slide. But for time's sake, for them to come together, so let me read their names because they are all still singing for a better tomorrow. They are Naisa Low, Lina Mahmoud, Nancy Hawa, Nawal Kharman, Yusuf Ahmed. The song is called Asli Barri, I Am of the Earth. And all these women got together in the desert and sang about women's investment, but also politically and in terms of socially. So all of them together, please watch the video to see the interaction. I'm just going to play a short clip right now.
في أنثوي مستمد
مستعد أنا أصلي بر ذوق شرق صوت سحر بخير وشر رقصة حي.
Please watch the whole video if you have time. Just the interaction with these women and just the fact that they were singing, against a certain system to gains a new dimension. I'm going to move to two more. We're going to end with Ileana, if you know who she is. But before I go to Ileana, my last song, which is going to be a gift for me and from everybody that worked with me on this presentation to you guys to thank you for coming. It's going to be called Olive Branch. But I'm going to end with Olive Branch. Before I do, let's have some feminist anger in the room. How many women, especially there, especially in Palestine and the Palestinian territories, have been objectified to a degree where the body becomes measurements, becomes not your own, the way the female body is narrated and told, and never by the women. This Palestinian young woman, who I think is only 24 or something, just released a song that unleashes centuries of anger against the way the female body. She's reclaiming her body, but she's reclaiming her body not only as a woman, but as a Palestinian woman, and how patriarchy and certain traditions have tried to put her down. It's very, very powerful, but it's wrong.
أخذ لي وقت أفهم جسدي الأنثوي. جسدك بيروح بينام بغيب بغلط بتوب من سامح وبرجع بعيد للأبد ماشي مع ورقة تصريح من الطبيب. جسدي بكفي غلطة وحدة، انزلاق واحد، صورة واحدة، فيديو واحد. كم من عين في عجسدي، كم من وجه في لجسدي. جسدي أنثوي، جسدي عربي، جسدي العربي الأنثوي.
Can you feel? And this is her writing and her song. She's also part of a Palestinian group called DAM, D-A-M. They used to be three guys and became known as DAM. One of the guys left, and instead of replacing with another guy, they brought in Mesa Loeb, and the group now changed suddenly. It's like reborn, and Mesa, of course, became at the forefront. But that's the group over there, DAM. Okay, so I'm going to end today with Ileana. Has anyone heard of Ileana?
Yes, I watched her Coachella.
Coachella?
No,
Thank you. You weren't here.
No, I was not there.
Oh, you weren't there, but you saw it like online or something? What's the big deal about Coachella and Ileana? Like, why is that a big deal?
Well, it's just groundbreaking to have like a female artist.
Exactly. Not just female, but the first time someone sings in Arabic at Coachella. I mean, Coachella. Not really. So with Ileana, she will take it in Perthum. So she sang live in Arabic at Coachella, and people loved her, and since then she's gone on and on. But she is Palestinian and very proud of it, and she became known before October 7. So basically, now she's sending messages of peace to Gaza, but this is before this. You want to hear a little about her. She is half Chilean, half Palestinian, but she was born and raised in Netherlands, and of course Arabic is her native.
But Eliana's story starts in Nazareth, where she was born.
First of all, I grew up in Palestine, Nazareth. I'm also part Chilean, so I grew up in these two worlds, and of course they influenced me, and of course they had a huge impact on me as a person and as an artist.
Palestinian and Chilean, but singing in Arabic or Spanish was not part of the original plan.
So you can watch the whole report on Foodline, but I love her. I still haven't met her, so there's no but stay tuned. I'm trying. And basically, like you saw in the report, it was before the 7th of October. And what I want to talk about what she did after. So let me go here to the last slide today. And leave you with a song called Olive Branch. It's in Arabic, but there are subtitles. And she's sending peace, and she's always reminding us how Jewish, Muslim, and Christian folks are all brothers and sisters who always lived in peace. I know what's going on now, it's not about that. It's about something else. And she's sending a message of peace and olive branch to Gaza. So I'm going to end with Eliana sending a message. There's a hard sentence, you might find it painful, hopefully it will change. But she says, in the land of peace, peace has died. And that's how she ends it.
خلص الحكي شو بعد خلص البكي والقلب مشلول عيدي هاي بصلي ابعت سلام غسل زيتون
Not an easy time for any Palestinian singer to sing, because if you release stuff, people are like, what are you singing, releasing joyous music as if nothing is going on, but then if you do nothing, you also feel useless. I love Eliana, and I'm going to end with her and turn it over to you, because I have oversaturated you today with name after name after name, and you stayed till the end. At some point people need a breather. I gave you no breather. Thank you for staying with me, but I welcome any reactions, any questions about any of the amazing women that we featured today, even if you just want to give me your fave or something that particularly. So I'm not going to call on anyone who doesn't raise their hand, but say thank you.
I didn't know what this was going to be like. I work here. It's supposed to be in the office right now.
Oh, wow.
Me to leave, but I just wanted to say this was so moving to me. Because, my mother's Egyptian.
Oh, really?
I grew up with Egyptian music, and I've been there, but I just didn't, this breadth, I had no idea.
Since you are important, can you share your name with our audience? Ahlan wasahlan. You must have enjoyed it first one. It's genetic, right? Like the first one was like. By the way, the artwork that I did, that was done, this artwork was done by a Sudanese refugee for me. And it was just a gift when he heard I'm doing a talk about Arab women. He sent me this graphic and drew me in it. But drew every woman that I spoke about today, and I said, I want to, pay you or whatever. It was just, God offended. This is a gift. So his name is Zach Hussein. I think his name is down there. Follow him on Insta if you like this kind of art. Okay. So somebody almost got fired because of me. Stayed late. That is the biggest compliment. You said your boss to me. I thought this was more important. Oh, you are too. We need to talk. So go to work, but I need to see you later. And Professor Shalom, how do you guys are so lucky to have her and Heidi Saleh, who just walked in. Oh my God, seeing Heidi Saleh is like seeing a part of me, because we've been in touch for so long, and Heidi, of course, is from Egypt, and she knew in Khartoum before I even spoke. So immediately she was up the list. And we're related. Because the salsa, so this is my cousin Mel, who came in from San Diego today. She was saying that the Saleh family and the Salty family and the Sphere family were related. She is our family.
That's why I knew we had the connection.
Right? على طول أمال يا بنتي حبيبتي. And we're gonna hang out after this. Okay, so any thoughts? I looked at Theo, who did the audiovisual today. Shukran, Theo. Has a comment.
The Kulthum, was she a composer as well, or primarily a singer? I know in the United States, we have a long history of great female performers, but traditionally the music has been composed by males for decades.
That's a great question. Many of the indie Arab women I played at the end were writing their own material. Yasmin Hamdan, Tanya Saleh, writing their own material and singing it. But Kulthum, definitely not. Kulthum, poets and composers in the 50s and 60s in Egypt would fiercely compete to send poems, hoping she'd take a glance at it. Because, so she had the best poets, the best composers at her disposal. And she knew how to choose. So she never wrote her own things, but boy, did they become hers in the way she delivered. You heard her moaning when her lover wouldn't set her free. That's nothing. Tarab. We recorded it, I saw that, because there was a moment, these kids here, look at these young kids. They were feeling Kulthum's pain. This guy went like, unchained. Mashallah. Mashallah. But yeah, so Kulthum is over there, and Fairuz is there, and he wrote the names with his calligraphy. Any other comment? Thank you, Theo. Please.
I just want to say I also thought it was super moving. My grandma's from Iraq. She's an Iraqi Jew, actually, though.
Wow.
So she grew up speaking Arabic and Hebrew. So I really liked, I actually enjoyed the mix, the Ave Maria and the call to prayer, because that's kind of reminds me of my family. Has a lot of blending.
Yes, but there's also, and I've done a presentation on Arab Jewish music. Also, you're going to find some amazing collaborations. There is a version of Imagine by John Lennon by an Israeli singer whose name is Noah, with a Palestinian singer, and they sing it half Hebrew, half Arabic, and then they join it in English. What was her name? I forgot the Palestinian singer's name. But they, I think, represented peace at the Eurovision Song Contest or something. But that was many, many years ago. Many years ago. I think right now these voices are being silenced. Thank you, Habibti. And you loved Eliana already. I didn't have to convert it. But the young man next to you, I saw him like he was getting converted, and then when Eliana started to sing for. Did you like any of the music today?
Oh yeah, I felt touched by it, every single one.
Thank you so much. So will you look them up and try to encourage them, disseminate information about them? These are not women who have huge recording contracts, but they so deserve it. Those $1 million deals, the Coca-Cola and the Pepsi deals, go to Arab women and men in the Arab world who sing about nothing. I mean, it's fine, it's nice for a party. Right, who doesn't want to, belly dance? But at some point, we need music to wake us up, and these women wake us up. Much more than men might be. Anybody else want to react now?
If you had the opportunity to interview Fairuz on your Arabology podcast, what is one question you would ask her?
Wow. Like you're going to ask me this at Friday. You're like to say a human, wake down. I don't know, I guess I would ask her if she ever understood the depth of the love that the Arab world has for her. This was ever in her consciousness, but something tells me it's not. She's very simple, lives in a simple home, does not, go out. Her whole life was singing when her husband was alive, 24-hour in-home recording. No wonder they have thousands of songs released. But honestly, she's still alive, so there's still a chance now. Maybe we can add a picture with Fairuz. How old is Fairuz? Wait, Heidi, 1 second. The kid knows. How old is Fairuz? I love that a star is born today. My kids are blooming, right? Heidi, before you walked in, I said she's ageless. So when people say, how old is Fairuz, right? You're like, what? How old is the universe? Heidi, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as an Egyptian girl, Fairuz was such an icon. I grew up listening to her. She was the only voice other than the Egyptian voices I was hearing back home.
In Egypt.
In Egypt. Everybody respected her and loved her music. And she connected me to this place, this magical place called Lebanon I had never heard of, even though I was living in Egypt, you know. And she's just an icon. She's incredible.
Now, like, some people say there's two camps, the camp and the Fairuz camp. Both camps. Absolutely both camps. But Kulthum came first. And Kulthum did influence Fairuz. So basically, I think Fairuz always had this admiration for Kulthum. But Fairuz dared to release 3-minute songs, where Kulthum were like minimum 30 minutes. And so there was that kind of, like, Kulthum handed the baton to Fairuz, she did not resist her. The answer, by the way, to Fairuz or Kulthum is because Fairuz songs are, you know, more chill in the morning. So Fairuz is in the morning, and Kulthum is at night. You know, you get home from a hard day's work, put your feet up, you're gonna listen to a 40-minute song. In the morning, who has time? So the Arab world always says, Fairuz in the morning, Kulthum at night. Fairuz, يعطي الصباح, Kulthum بالليل. And that way you haven't chosen. Yes, sure.
I have to, and I may have asked you the same exact question when we listened to you back at Stanford, but I'll do it anyway. Talking about interesting artists who sang the call to prayer, you haven't sampled any Turkish music, I'm not offended.
The azan or the shahada you're talking about.
But yes, Bülent Ersoy comes to mind.
Who is
She's
a
she's
Turkish
trans woman.
Wow.
Who,
oh gosh, well,
I mean,
take that,
okay, I don't wanna get, you know, traveled
No,
on
yeah.
something, but she sounds like I mean, she's in that category of amazing singers, classically trained in arabesque, you know, Turkish classical music, and she sings the call to prayer, on television.
You know, we need to incorporate that in the Tanya Klassi section where you heard her with the Ave Maria thing. We're not that advanced yet, I think,
And I don't
you know, because Tanya,
something that happens.
that should happen.
The Turkish public loves her.
Shukran, kids.
Thank
You three are such sweet people. Since I walked in, you've been like, every time I stutter, you're like, thank you guys for coming today. And stay in touch with me, and if you have any Arabic song for the Arabology show, I am willing to do like an on-air DJ any way you want. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye. Anybody else want to say anything before we adjourn? I have many Spotify playlists, and more importantly, my Arabology show is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud. There's over 300 episodes. Each episode is about 2 to 3 hours long, so I'm good for like long car rides. You can forward a lot of it, but each show I've tried to focus on something. So if you look at the show's title, it could be like Arab women in music, but it could also be just shabby Egyptian music. 3 hours of that. The nice thing about it, Heidi, is because people are very open in America to different music, but with the Arabic music in particular, nobody ever translates. Nobody tells them what it's about. So listeners kind of go, but once you understand, like, and that's what I do, I just speak in English to an American audience, to a global audience about these women. And the input I get, like, wow, we never realized. Even Arab Americans go, my dad used to listen to Kulthum, I never heard they did big deal, but now that you've, you know, done that. So please do listen to Arabology if you like, and send requests and let me know. I put my, it's author30@gmail.com, but you can look me up on Google. You'll find either DJ Ramsey, and you'll find me like with my headphone, or Dr. Ramsey Salty at Stanford, you'll find me. So, either one. Okay, so what do you think, Shilva? شكرا حبيبتي. And I love the kufia. Shukran. And my cousins, of course, Nala and Hala came all the way from San Diego to be here today. And my surprise guest, my brother-in-law, Bunda, walked in out of the blue. Did you see him walk in? That was not expected. The timing, he waited for Saad Massi, whose work he loves. That and what's sipping martini. That's Shukran, everybody. Thank you.